wondering, Mark, have you ever signed up to a player charter like this? Delighted to be joined by Mark Bergin from O'Loughlin's.
Well, lads, how are you? Thanks for. No, I can safely say I never saw on those contracts live anyway. Look, I thought it was a joke at first, to be honest, when I saw it late last night. If it was brought into O'Loughlin's, I'd be getting Brian Hogan to ring my wife to tell her that we're not going on holiday next summer.
Yeah, it's a mad one, isn't it? Like, and as Shane was saying there before you jumped on, like some of the stuff that's in it is actually somewhat reasonable and actually discussed, but it never would be committed to paper. It would just be sensible when you're booking, lads. You can book a holiday from this time to this time, but not thereafter. And it's basically the same with having a few scoops as well. We might go on a weekend away, this weekend. Just be clever about it between now and then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's common sense as well, and I suppose it's players taking ownership too. Like, in fairness, I've never been part of a panel where there was drinking ban or told you're not allowed to drink, lads. Players just knew, and I know Shane, you were mentioning that there with Coola. Like, you just had a bit of cop on to know that, right, we have a championship match next weekend. We're not going to go out tonight or whatever it is. Like, again, playing other sports, I don't mind getting out for a round of golf either myself, like, just to switch off and to try something different. But as I said, look, thankfully, I haven't been part of a panel where those guidelines or rules were put on paper anyhow. But look, I don't know, hopefully it'll be rectified in the coming days.
Well, look, we wanted to talk about the brilliant performance that you had at the weekend. 17 points to 12 winners over 𝘱𝘁 like really, really impressive. And the first thing I want to put you, Mark, is that this man here, Michael Verney, he predicted that you'd win Leinster, but when it came up to the individual games, he said you'd lose to Mount Leinster and he said you'd lose to 𝘱𝘁. So you ran this down his throat.
I hope he's Fina to win on Saturday.
I also said they'd win Kilkenny now, to be fair, but I thought you were susceptible going down to Mount Leinster. I won't lie, and I had a bit of Offaly allegiance in my eyes probably last Saturday as well. But that was a great performance, Mark. Just from the word go, you hit the ground running.
Yeah, we did, Michael. It was the same as well in against Mount Leinster Rangers 2 weeks ago. I think the start was absolutely crucial. And you're right. Look, there's no point in saying otherwise. I was worried enough about the Mount Leinster game because they're obviously a serious team coming down from that high, beating Ballyhale, going for 6 in a row. Celebrations, as you'd imagine, they were great. Went on for a few days, but in fairness to Hoagie, he got us back training on the Wednesday night, and it was the best thing, is the best move that he made. We had a chat, we looked at it and said, look, this is an opportunity now. Beating Ballyhale, while it's great, you have to view it. We played Coola, Shane, in 2016, and we're absolutely blown off the park. I personally thought that I might never get a chance to play in a Leinster campaign again. So you have to use it as a springboard. There's no point in winning Kilkenny and then sitting back and saying, great. You look at Ballyhale, like, they've been on the road for so long. Yes, they're coming up with Leinster Club Championships, All-Irelands. Like, you have to view it as an opportunity. And we targeted both starts in both the games, to be honest, like do any team. And we got a great start. But the second half, we died out. It's something that we're going to have to look at this week. We can't let that happen in the biggest day of all, Leinster Club final here in Croke Park.
And just in terms of, like, your own career, like, this isn't your first season, isn't going to be your first Leinster final. You won one back in, I think it was 2011 against Oulart. Are you the only? Sorry?
It was played in 2011 because of the snow that year, actually. It was played in the first week in January. We played a very fancied Oulart team in Dr. Cullen Park. We came out with a 2 or 3 point lead or win in the end. We went on then, we played Lochiel in the semi-final. And we lost the final to Clarenbridge on Patrick's Day. March 2011. So yeah, look, I've been there. Stephen Murphy would be the same. The two of us, I think, were playing. Tony Forrest, the cornerback, he was on the panel. Paddy Butler, Jack Nolan. We had a few lads on the panel. So again, we had more lads then in 2016. Paddy Deegan, Hugh Lawler, Paddy Butler, all those boys were playing then. So we have that bit of experience, I suppose, in terms of the Leinster Championship. But yeah, I've been on the road a while, all right, Shane. But look, I'm absolutely loving it. It's great. It has a kind of a pre-season feel to it. You're going out to John's Park to training, but I tell you, the prize is absolutely huge. So can't wait now for Saturday.
And in terms of those experiences you've had before, for the lads who haven't been there, is there anything you feel like you've needed to get across to them to let them know, look, you don't know when these chances will come around again?
Absolutely, definitely. The Wednesday night after the Mount Leinster or the Ballyhale game, leading into the Mount Leinster game, we definitely spoke as a group and said, look, there's an opportunity here. It can't be sniffed at. Lads who were 26 at the moment, 27, if we had to wait another 7 years to win the Kilkenny Championship, they'd be probably the same age as myself then at that stage, coming towards their end of their career. There's just no guarantees, particularly in Kilkenny. It's such a well tightly contested championship, and look, you saw those during the year. 𝘰𝘓𝘗, we scraped through down Thomastown by 2 or 3 points. Bennettsbridge had us there as well. Ballyhale, it took us to the 63rd minute. These opportunities certainly don't come around. If we have to wait another 7 years to win the Kilkenny Championship, an awful lot of lads who are playing on Saturday next won't be playing.
Croke Park is behind you there, Mark. I presume that's somewhere you'd love to right a few wrongs. I'm even thinking about a college's final back in the day as well, and I know that's nearly half a lifetime ago, but I presume it's somewhere you'd love to win a big final.
Absolutely, Michael. Yeah, 2007, I think it was, or 2006. We got beaten by Dennisal in a school's final. Had the opportunity to level the game, all right, but unfortunately hit the post. But that's sport. It's a special place. There's no point in saying otherwise. Had some good days. Panel with Kilkenny in 2012, and that we beat Galway in an All-Ireland. It's a special place when you win. It can be a very different place when you lose. So look, hopefully things go right for us on Saturday, but it's going to be a massive test.
Just on the county final, Mark, there was a picture going around after, one of the best pictures I've seen in a long time. It's you and Brian Skehan jumping in tandem. I saw you running towards the stand, giving it the big one, giving it the Brendan Bugler fist bump, and then one of the great photographers, how they managed to do it, the two of you both in tandem, jumping in the air at the exact same time. Can you just talk me through? Yeah, I'd say it could be off the bone. I'd say. Could you just talk me through this, like a brilliant picture? Can you just talk me through the emotion in the seconds and minutes after winning the county final?
I was fortunate enough, that was my 3rd Kilkenny Championship, and I can honestly say that one, while the other 2 were special, that one was just different about it. Extremely emotional. Maybe it's because I'm that little bit older. I was fortunate enough, the boys named me as captain. It's been a great year for me personally as well. Birth of my daughter, and just everything was kind of running into one there. Brian just decided to follow me. I don't know what to do there, but look, it's a great picture. And some of the pictures that were going around after the game, like, they really are special. I'm looking forward to Christmas now and sitting down properly and going through them. But hopefully we might get a few more pictures before the year's out.
Yeah, Mark, can you explain, like, when you go on a run in Leinster or through the All-Ireland series and all that kind of stuff, like, it just feels a little bit different as a group, that you're kind of on a journey. I don't know, is it something that can be explained? But there's certainly that feeling when you're in it.
It is different, Shane. It is different. Like, getting up on a bus, even we found it strange to go to Carlow for the Mount Leinster game. There is a buzz, there is an excitement. You're going off with lads that you played with, lads that you grew up with. It doesn't happen too often, as I said, particularly the journeys back then to the club. I remember 2010 and 2016 when we went on a bit of a run. They are special times. There are probably times that in a few years' time that we're going to have a pint at Christmas time sometime, and just to talk about those memories that were created. They are special. It's very hard to pinpoint it, but yourself, it's just, there is something special, something different about winning with your club, no matter what age you are. Like, there's a great balance in our team as well. There's the older lads and there's the young lads there as well, and they're keeping us going. They're bringing a completely different dimension to the panel, to the crack in the panel too. And it's just a great place to be, and we can't wait for Saturday. Bus loads going up from O'Loughlin's. It's just brilliant, and we're living our dream now, to be honest.
Did you get a chat? I know Donald Burke is at the Leinster GAA launch with you there, and he hasn't played so far this year. Have you tried to wrangle any information out of him?
I know he's keeping his card close to his chest here, Shane. So, and look, super player too. I don't know what the story is there. Maybe you might have
we'll ask him. All right.
Yeah.
The likes of just Conor Heary's had some season. Like, previously, I can only remember seeing him in the backs. Is he one of these lads now who might catch the eye of Derek Lyng?
I think he definitely deserves a go in the forwards. He played cornerback. He's part of the extended panel this year. He played cornerback in the league game, I think, against Tipperary early on in the league, and I'm not quite sure whether things worked out for him. Then he had fierce Achilles problems.
I think I might have lost your audio there, Mark. I might just kick you out and back in, and hopefully you'll be able to hear you then. We just log back in there in a second. Joe Butler says, "Well done, Mark. A great win in Glenisco O'Connor Park. So proud of you all. You've given us great satisfaction. It was a cold day in Tullamore on Saturday." Yeah, sorry, Michael. I think we just lost Mark's audio there, so hopefully he'll click back in there in a second. But yeah, Conor Heary, he's had some season, and he was brilliant again the other day.
Yeah, he wasn't able to tug out for the All-Ireland final because he two Achilles. I think he had 2 operations on his Achilles. He had an awful lot of trouble with it. I tell you, there's a lot of things that impress me about him. The physical size of him, how he's able to get clean possession, how he's able to carry ball, how he seems to always give the right pass, even for Owen Wall's goal chance. Mark, you were probably just cut off there mid-sentence, I'd say. But Conor has been outstanding in the last couple of games. I'd be the same as Shane. I would have just seen him as a defender. He was brilliant. Was he wing back in the county final a couple of years ago? He kept one of the Ballyhale lads quiet, but he kind of nearly has it all as a forward. He's strong, he's fast, he's athletic, he's able to win ball, he's clever on the ball, and he was outstanding for you at the weekend.
He was, yeah. Look, he's a good hurler, Mike. So he
I think we've lost the audio again there. Maybe you could ask John there to log in on a different device. It's just, I'm not sure what's going on with it at the moment. That's an awful shame because we were getting into it. Let's talk a little bit about the match, and hopefully Mark will be able to come back on. But like the first half, I thought they were brilliant. 10 points to 3 ahead. And I think what summed it up more than anything was it was 6 points to 1 from open play. So there was no doubt who was on top in sort of general play.
Yeah, Shane, it could have been 15 points up at half-time. O'Loughlin's did all the hurling. Had a hell of a lot of wides in the first half as well. I'd say Brian Hogan would have been disappointed in a way going in at half-time because they did leave, I know it was 7 and it looked like a big gap going in at half-time, and Adam Streety missed a free to mean that it could have been 6 at half-time. But you would have been thinking like there should be 4 or 5 goals between these two teams at half-time because O'Loughlin's did all the hurling. Oh Jesus, they hunted like in packs all over the pitch. They forced KK to deliver ball into the forward line that was just not good enough for what was in there, and it wasn't advantageous for a forward. It was bad ball going in. They forced them to spill. A lot of the time they forced KK to even carry the ball into bodies and overturn them there. It was a brilliant first half for hurling. Now, I know I think you were tweeting it as well. It didn't look like there was going to be any sort of a revival in the second half. It looked like there was really only one team in it. But fair play to KK. They made it very competitive. But very like the Mount Leinster game. O'Loughlin sensed that bit of danger, bit of cuteness, won a free here and there, were able to settle things down. They looked in a bit of trouble as they did against Mount Leinster, but they were able to kind of weather that storm. I think it was 4 was the lowest the margin was against Mount Leinster. I think it was 2 the other day, but they never really looked like losing the game. And when they needed to, they were able to tag on a couple of scores. And I mentioned Conor Heary there. He had a huge display. Thought Owen Wall was really lively up front, flashed over that goal. They looked very disappointed with it as well because I'd say he was sure it was in the back of the net. I thought Jack Nolan was brilliant. The 2 wing backs are outstanding. Obviously the 3 county boys in defence as well were brilliant. And just on that, like we talked about the other day about the tallies they've conceded, 12 points the last day, 13 points against Mount Leinster, 19 against Ballyhale, which is good. And Bennett's Bridge must have been in around the 20 mark, but no goals conceded in the last 4 games, while they have scored, what did they score? 2 against Mount Leinster, none the last day. Like, Mark, just if you're able to hear us there now, you mark the boys in defence a lot of the time. Like, that is a fairly mean defence that you have. Very, very, very difficult to break down, and you're conceding very, very low tallies in each game now.
No, I'm not quite sure if Mark can hear us just yet. One of those days you go live and you try and work with phones and stuff like that. It's not always going to work out. We have a comment in saying that Conor Heary was centre forward for Kilkenny in the minor semi-final in 2017 against Galway. The Galway team that had Darren Morrissey and Jack Canning has experience in the forwards. Conceded 22 points against the Bridge is what Joe Butler is adding in there. Joe always trying to play things down for his own last game.
I tell you what, he can play things down no more anyway. At this stage, they're in with a great shout at Leinster Glory on Saturday, and even looking further afield, if they do get out of Leinster, they're going to be a tough enough for anybody to crack. And of course, if you look at how much they conceded, it was just 5 points from play. Charlie Mitchell got 3 of those, James Gorman got 1, Jack Screeney got another. And like, as the game went on, it just felt like Kilcormac, whether it was their own panic or just feeling like they were being tackled because the tackling was so good, they ended up getting blocked down, hitting 50-50 in between Hugh Lawler and Paddy Deegan and so on. We were just talking about defence that you have, Mark. It must be no crack coming up against Mikey Butler, Paddy Deegan and Hugh Lawler in training.
Yeah, they're absolutely serious. There's 3 boys there. Look, it's super. It's super to have them, to be honest. Like you're saying, they're great lads. 2-time All-Stars, Mikey and Hugh. You know, Paddy's just Mr. Consistent, both with Kilkenny and Ballyhale, Kilkenny and O'Loughlin's, and you know, he's going very, very well. Yeah, look, our backs have been very good so far this year. Long may that last. There's a good unity there, backbone obviously by the 3 lads.
We were asking a question the other day to, I think, who were we asking? Aaron Gillan. And he was saying that the most skillful player, or one of the most skillful players, of course, was Cathal O'Neill. He said he has as good a skills as Cian Lynch. We're just wondering, like, of the players you've played with and you've been involved in Kilkenny panels and so on, who are some of the most skillful players that you've played with?
Straight away, TJ Reid has to be up there. He's just phenomenal. His aerial ability alone, you see him in training, and some of the things that he does is just, it's crazy. I remember a particular session in with Kilkenny, and nearly the session stopped, the game stopped, and said, how in the name of God did he actually do that? But that's just him. That's just him. He's just absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, look, I was delighted to be there to witness it, to be honest. But TJ has to be up there. It's just top class. One of the best ever.
Who's the toughest player you ever were marked by in training in Kilkenny?
JJ Delaney, Tommy Walsh, either one of those, whichever you fancy, to be honest, because both of them would cut you in half, in a good way, absolutely in a good way now, and I mean that in the best of the respect to them both. Top class hurlers, and you know that if things are going well and you're scoring a point or 2 off of them lads, you're hurling very, very well, and them days were fairly rare now, to be honest.
What's it like when you're coming up against those boys in training? Like you're trying to make a starting berth for yourself, and you're coming up against these boys, and by all accounts, they never took it handy in training. If anything, training was like, they'd kill you in training, by all accounts. Didn't Tommy or Larkin, someone kick someone in the head or something in one of the trainings to take all the time?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's crazy. It was serious. It was so good. And I think you really saw the benefit when you went back with the club. You really saw how sharp you were, and I suppose lifting the standards again within the club. And that's what I got definitely from being in with Kilkenny, to be surrounded by those boys and seeing what they do to make them so successful and to keep at the top was absolutely huge. But yeah, it was crazy, to be honest with you, Michael. The standards were so high. There wasn't room to breathe nearly in training, but there were great days, great times and memories to have forever.
Who was the biggest sneer on the panel?
On the O'Loughlin's or the Kilkenny?
No, on the Kilkenny. It's easier for you to talk about Kilkenny here. Like, who was the biggest sneer?
Well, you put me in the spot now. I'm trying to think back. Owen Larkin was a gas character now, in fairness.
He'd have great time for the O'Loughlin's boys. He would,
Michael, yeah. You being sarcastic there?
Well, I
get on fierce well with him. He's a sound lad. Right? There's no problem whatsoever. Paul Murphy be up for a bit of crack too, particularly after the games. But no, it was a great environment to be around. You know, it really was. But look, as I said, when it was business, it was business. When the training started, they were different people, like, you know. But once it was over, great team spirit there that Brian Cody used to always go on about, how important it was, that spirit, and that was so evident to see down through the years, you know.
And actually,
you talk about 𝘱𝘁𝘰𝘮, and I have to come in on this because I thought you might say this, man. There's a great story of when Kilkenny played Cork in a league game, and there was a bit of a row or something like that anyway, and all that was remembered from the row, nobody remembers who hit who or what happened. All that's remembered is Tommy Walsh shouting at 𝘱𝘳𝘁𝘮, "That is an awful haircut." That's all he said, and the boys laughed the whole way back to Kilkenny, I'm told.
How did I forget about Tommy Walsh? Actually, to be honest, you know, he was the older statesman within the panel, but he was up for any crack, no matter who you were. And I remember he made the dressing room so much more comfortable, particularly for younger lads like myself going into training. You know, he's an absolute character. He still texts you after matches. You know, I bumped into him in the petrol station there. He was after coming back from a junior league game or a junior championship game, and he was devastated. I said, "Bob, what's wrong with you?" He goes, "I had a woeful wide coming towards the game. I caught the ball. It was unbelievable. It turned to me left, and I drove it wide. He said, I'm absolutely gutted. So I'm going in now to buy myself an ice cream." He was gassed. He's just a big child, like, you know.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Well, look, Mark, just all we say is best of luck heading into the weekend. Hopefully it's a cracker of a match. We're really looking forward to it. And yeah, thanks very much for joining us.
Cheers, lad. Thanks a million.
Cheers, Mark.